All right. Welcome back to another episode of Two Plain Sports. Today, we are going to be covering what we've all been waiting for 7 whole days. A brand new head coach for the Oklahoma's football team. It's officially Brent Venables, former defensive coordinator for Clemson and Oklahoma, finally coming back home to head the program. And I think it's going to be a great move. But before we get any deeper, thank you guys for everything. This week it's been a hectic week for Oklahoma football, and we try to keep you guys up to date with as much information as we can find that's actually accurate, not just rumors like some did. But make sure you're liking, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, do all that jazz. That helps us out a lot. Just continue to do that, and make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you think about Brett, and what the program could be under him. So let's go ahead and get started. Brandon, you want to go first?
I mean, it's a great day. It's a great day. I think we woke up to this news. I woke up about 10 o'clock, my time here, and check Twitter like I have in the past 7 days, and it's pretty much more official this morning. I was, pretty damn excited, and now that it's official, it's a real good time. I mean, you got to think almost it's an upgrade at this point. You got to think Brent Venables is going to bring some Clemson guys with him, both coaches and maybe some players, recruits, whatever. So that's going to be good for us. You got to think that defense is going to be better than it has been under Grinch and Riley and whatever they're doing. It's a good day. Excited to see who we land as an offensive coordinator at this point.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's first back this up. I mean, we obviously have a group text, and everyone has kind of realized Brandon is the emotional one, and man, I'm just glad that these texts are gonna stop.
I was calm the whole time, calm, collected, ready to go, never doubted.
Brandon at one point was convinced we were not going to hire a head football coach. They were just going to be the Oklahoma Sooners with no leader. But no, this has been something, it seems like, through the rumor mills. Brent Venables was the constant all through this. You got random names thrown in, even a Dabo Sweeney. I know we talked about that, but I mean, just anyone and everyone that could have potentially been connected to this. Joe Castiglione threw everyone off. I felt like he was doing it on purpose. He was telling people one thing one day and one another day. I'm curious if they waited till after this past weekend, or the championship games, the conference championships. Maybe they interviewed Dan Lanning. I don't know. I wonder what took him so long. It seemed like Brent Venables was available the entire time. But I'm just glad that they did their due diligence. They were thorough, and I don't see how this is not a great hire. I mean, he's had so many opportunities to go be a head coach somewhere. I know this is his first stop as a head coach, but it's not because of a lack of interest. I mean, this guy he can take the program to a whole nother level, and he brings instant stability, which is what the Sooners need after what has happened over the last week.
Yeah, and we're seeing that already in regards to the stability that you're talking about, where we've seen tweets from recruits that were on the fence or were mentioning that they're waiting to see what happened, tweet out very positive things about and some of it is a little cryptic, but it seems like it's very positive and they're happy about the hire with Brent being their new head coach. And then I know there recently, right before we got on, active players are currently on a Zoom call with their brand new head coach in Venables. Brian Mead's on there.
Brian Mead, yeah.
Marcus Hicks is on there, and others, other active players are on that Zoom call, and they're starting to get to know their coach. And for those guys on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to get to play probably a lot more fun style of football. And I know someone tweeted at Nick Benito, I don't remember specifically who, but just saying, hey, are you excited to finally have a guy that could let you rush the passer this time around? So, I mean, people obviously have their opinions on Grinch and Lincoln, but obviously people are very excited about what Brett is going to bring to the team. In regards to the coordinator position and the staff, that so far the only rumors, and again, the pretty consistent rumor, is that when Brent was going to be the head coach, then Jeff Leby was going to be the offensive coordinator. Also has Oklahoma ties as a graduate of Oklahoma and has had really good offenses at Ole Miss. I believe he's a finalist for an award this year as well. So what do you guys think in regards to the staff?
Well, I will say first, I mean, just talking about Brent Venables before we move on, I want everyone to realize that, Lincoln Riley was more of the flashy, bringing in the sports cards, bringing in, sitting, taking pictures of rings, this all flashy, very much an LA type of guy. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. He fits that lifestyle. Brent Venables is hardly ever on social media. He is a hard-nosed, basically bring your lunch pail to work type guy. You're going to see that instantly change with the program of, I'm sure he'll start taking pictures with Jordans and doing various other things, but Lincoln was very flashy. Brent Venables, just for his name, speaks for itself, and I think it's going to be able to sell recruits. I felt like Lincoln was trying to sell recruits on the cool things that you can get if you're a good football player. Brent Venables is basically kind of like I'm not saying he's Nick Saban, but it's that same mindset of I don't care who you are, you're going to come and play for me. We're going to work hard. But as far as Jeff Leby goes, he obviously, he played football for a little while. He had a career-ending ankle injury. He had a few stops along the way. He was a coach for various positions for Baylor when Art Briles was there. And then he went to I think he went to Southeastern, which is a Division II school, as an offensive coordinator there, and got picked up by UCF. He was a quarterback coach and then got promoted to offensive coordinator when Josh Heupel was there, and then got picked up by Lane Kiffin. And for the last 2 years has been their offensive coordinator. He had top 10 offenses, both at UCF and Ole Miss at his 2 stops. Brilliant mind, and it seems like the quarterbacks like him. And I don't see why he couldn't do well for the Sooners. I feel like he'd be a great hire. Brandon, what do you think?
No, I agree. I think he'd be an awesome hire. And yeah, Venables, with your whole take on him, what I'm most excited about with him is he's one of those coaches who's so passionate and fired up on the sideline and stuff. He has kind of like Sean McVay. He has a guy on the sideline who just kind of has pulling him back so he doesn't run out of the field and commit penalties and stuff like that. I think he's gonna have guys ready to run through brick walls for him. He's just so energetic. So he's a passionate guy. He's a football guy. By every kind of like you were talking about, alluding to, he's everything that you want in a football coach. I'm very excited. Jeff Leby, I think, would be good. Before we even go on to the offensive coordinator, because I think the only 2 names that could possibly is probably Jeff Leby and Joe Brady, and I think I'd be okay with either one. I hope Venables has to sit down with the current staff and decides to retain, some of these big coaches that we have that are doing a hell of a job right now for us. Our DeMarco Murray's, Joe John Finley's, if he doesn't, go to Texas Tech or whatever for their OC job. DeMar Kane. There's a couple of guys on staff right now that I think it's important for him to sit down with and, kind of find out where they're going to fit in this whole mess. Bill Beatonbow. It's exciting stuff. We'll see what direction he goes with it.
Yeah, and in regards to who's currently on the staff, I believe it was either today, the 5th, or yesterday, the 4th, that Manning officially resigned from his position on coaching staff. Obviously, there were no specific reasons that were released, but we can all assume that there's probably some issues if the recruiting story that came out earlier in the week was true. But currently on the staff, we've got Cale Gundy, Bill Beatonbow.
Gundy's another guy. Yeah, we got to keep Cale Gundy too.
Calvin Thibodeau, Brian Odom, Jamar Kane, DeMarco Murray, and Joe John Finley. Really, it seems like that to me, the biggest guys that you need to keep are Bill, DeMarco, and Thibodeau and Kane. Those guys do a really good job of recruiting. The kids really take to them, and they're, if not the reason, one of few reasons why a lot of those kids didn't decommit Monday or Tuesday after Lincoln left.
Yeah. And I will say, to be honest with you, I kind of expect them all to still be retained. I don't expect
Yeah.
one to leave other than Joe John Finley if he gets hired for the offensive coordinator
Well,
job at Tech.
a good thing. I mean, I don't know how much you look into, what people tweet and stuff, because that doesn't always mean everything. But Joe John Finley tweeted like 5 or 10 minutes ago, like all caps, Oklahoma just got better or something like that. With like he's excited, like boomer stuff. Very very encouraging tweets as far as stuff you want to see as an OU fan. Also, I just got an email from University of Oklahoma Athletics. Welcome home, Coach Brent Venables. It's just it's good time. It's a good day.
Yeah,
I'm hype.
Yeah, I mean he waited for the right opportunity. If you would have told me about a week or 8 days ago, the morning of Bedlam, that we'd be sitting here introducing Brent Venables as our new head football coach for Oklahoma, I would have told you you're insane.
But would you have been happy with it? If I would have told you on Bedlam morning, whatever, before the game even happened, I said, hey, if we can have Lincoln Riley or Brent Venables coaching this team next year, who would you rather have?
It would be hard to turn the page on Lincoln Riley, but to be honest with you, I would think Brent Venables, because it just felt like this team was good, but it just needed that guy that could really just take it to the next step.
I think what he does for us, especially moving into a Southeastern Conference that is obviously very, very talented, very competitive. I don't think I'm not going to say that we would have been bad under Lincoln Riley, because I don't think we would have been, especially with that 23 recruiting class that we had coming in. And most of those guys are obviously USC bound now, and some of the big time recruits we were getting. And Lincoln Riley is going to score points. I think we would have been very competitive with Riley in the SEC, but I think having that defensive minded coach, a guy who doesn't, if we can legitimately hold teams to 17, 20, 24 points, whatever, every single week. We're constantly applying pressure, getting turnovers, stuff like that. That defensive-minded style of football, I think, is going to be. I think it's going to be better for us in the long term as we move into the SEC and playing the Alabamas, Georgias, schools like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'd imagine his deal's gonna be for 5 to 7 years at a minimum. He's gonna be locked in pretty good, and and he's also a guy that I get a lot of comfort in, that I don't feel like he's gonna leave Oklahoma for really any reason. I mean, if you look at his coaching history, I mean, he was at Clemson for 9 years, and then he was at Oklahoma for what
13.
was it 13?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that right there, he's had 2 stops in 22 years. Program guy,
Brent Venables.
And just like when Lincoln Riley left, he took recruits, he took guys, and people left. I think Brent Venables is going to bring in some people, some kids that that might not have even considered Oklahoma. I mean, you're starting to see some Clemson defensive commits. I know I saw Jihad Campbell just tweet out a smiling face. And for anyone that doesn't know who that is, because we haven't ever covered him, because he's never been interested in OU, he's the number 9 edge rusher in the 2022 class, been committed to Clemson since the summer. He's huge. I'm not saying he's going to flip, but maybe he committed to Clemson because of Venables, and that could be a big one. But honestly, there's 2 guys that I think could flip, and they're both safeties. One is Keon Sabb. He's from the IMG Academy. He's a safety. He's the number 80 overall recruit, number 8 safety.
Isn't Campbell from IMG too?
Yes, they're both from IMG.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Sherrod Coville. He's from Chesapeake, Virginia, another safety, number 174 overall player, number 13 safety. Both are 4 stars. It seems like from what I've read, they seem to be really kind of committed to Brent Venables, just like Malachi Nelson was committed to Lincoln Riley. And I'm not saying that they're going to flip, but if there's a couple guys that will, it's probably those 2. And at a position, that's a premium from Oklahoma right now, because they're going to lose both their starting safeties this offseason.
Yep.
Key Lawrence isn't going anywhere.
But he's not our safety.
Yeah,
he can play safety, and that'll be interesting to see how some of these guys shift positions. We had Key come in as his true position, or his designated position, was safety coming out of Tennessee. But now he's playing corner for Oklahoma. Is he going to keep that same role? Will he be shifted back to his original position at safety? And we are likely going to get a couple of guys that we didn't expect to ever be interested in Oklahoma because of the Venables connection. Guys want to play for a really good defensive-minded coach, just like, you mentioned Malachi Nelson and Raleek Brown wanted to play for a really good offensive-minded coach, and that's why originally they picked Oklahoma. But now they'll be attending Southern Cal and continuing their football careers there. So we've definitely got a lot of good things moving forward. Oklahoma, we're going to get back to where we want to be, hopefully national championship contenders here in the next year or two. But if I were to put money on it, I do not believe Oklahoma will be natty bound next year, just because he's also have to change a little bit of the culture. These guys might be buying in now, but they don't know what's ahead of them. Some of these guys might not be guys that want to be in a very gritty culture, lunch pail type guys, like Brum said. And they might leave, and that's fine. But a culture is going to be set over this next offseason and into the next year. And then after that, we'll see what this team can do.
I can't wait to see, first of all, like guys like Gabe Dindy right now, seeing this news this has to be good for us as far as, making sure he stays with Oklahoma come December 15th on that early signing day. But I can't wait to see what he does with guys like Danny Stutzman, the young up and coming players like Stutzman, your Billy Bowmans. These guys have to be just beyond excited to be able to play for a guy like Brent Venables, especially with 3 years of eligibility left. I'm excited to see, if he, guys like Perrion Winfrey, Isaiah Thomas, Nick Benito. I know Perrion Winfrey for sure accepted an invite to the Senior Bowl, but I don't think that necessarily means he has to leave. I think, if Venables comes to talk to him and then he falls in love, he can, come back and play next year. I'm pretty sure Benito will be there next year. Isaiah Thomas, is there a chance he can come back, or does he have any eligibility left?
He was a senior this year, but with COVID, I believe he has a year.
I think he does too. And I'm excited to see if, just the possibility of playing with Brent Venables and what that could mean for their draft stock, and, what that could mean for them individually as a player, to see, what happens. And as it's bound to happen, there are kids who are committed to Clemson or are hard Clemson leans who are going to be coming to Oklahoma now. And they're probably going to lose a couple of kids in the portal, the same thing like we did with Lincoln Riley. Obviously not as much because Dabo Sweeney is still that guy and he's still there. But yeah, you've got to think there are some kids on the roster at Clemson who were committed to Brent Venables and they wanted to play for Brent Venables, and they're going to go try, see what it's like in Norman now.
Yeah, and I think another big thing that OU is going to see pretty quick is, when Grinch was hired on by Riley and the University of Oklahoma, he was an up and coming guy. Obviously he came from Washington State and then he went to Ohio State and then he was hired by Oklahoma. Brent Venables, I felt like Grinch was having to sell himself to people, like his potential, because he didn't really develop a bunch of first round talent. That's, on the defensive side. Brent Venables has a laundry list of first round defensive players that have been selected in the last 5 years. There's a laundry list of Clemson players that are currently playing in the NFL along the defensive line, linebackers, corners, safeties, all over the place. He doesn't have to sell himself on I can get you there. He just says, go look who's playing on Sundays. I've got someone in every single position. And I think with that, he's going to bring that whole mindset and the move to the SEC. So the whole, that whole Big 12, whatever. And I really think the perception of the Big 12 conference is changing anyway. He's not going to have to sell kids. He can sell them on what his vision is for the university, but he doesn't have to sell them on his coaching abilities. It's known. And I think if I'm the University of Texas or Texas A&M, this is the last thing I want to see is Brent Venables being hired, because he's going to be coming to the state of Texas and getting it. And he's going to be recruiting all the top defensive talent in the state.
That's another thing that's, another huge thanks to Bob Stoops for stepping up like he's doing, because I imagine Brent Venables will have some sort of introductory press conference Monday. He'll probably be at the OU basketball game Tuesday. And then I guarantee you he's hitting the road. He's going to be he has nothing to do with the Alamo Bowl. There's no game preparation he has to do for that. There's nothing as far as that goes. He's going to hit the ground running immediately with these recruiting trips, and obviously he's a pretty damn good recruiter. I wonder. We talked about the offensive coordinator position with Levy, Brady, whatever. I assume we're still going to have a defensive coordinator, even though it's going to be Brent Venables, mainly calling the plays and stuff. Is he going to go pull someone from Clemson, one of his top defensive assistants at Clemson? Whether it be a linebacker coach, corner, whatever, whatever the guy may be.
Or need of a corner coach now.
Yeah, you got to think he's got somebody that's like his top assistant there at Clemson that he's going to be like, hey, come be a DC now.
And that top assistant, or one of the top ones, is a guy by the name of Michael Reed. He is the defensive back coach for Clemson. And I think what I've read is he's a candidate now to be internally promoted for the Clemson defensive coordinator spot. But here's the deal. I mean, maybe he's Brent Venables' guy. The money could be really good at Oklahoma. Not saying it's not going to be great at Clemson, because Brent Venables was the second highest paid DC a couple years ago. It might be really appealing to Michael Reed if he's like, hey, I'll give you $2 million a year, come be my defensive coordinator, and we'll just work as a team. And then there's the defensive back coach position has been filled. Defensive coordinator position has been filled. And we know that Clemson's produced first round, defensive back talent. And I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like him followed, but then I could see him staying if Dabo Swinney offered him the defensive coordinator spot at Clemson.
Yeah, so, and that's one candidate, and that would be awesome. But if it's not him, if he does decide to stay at Clemson and be internally promoted, there's got to be other guys along that staff that Brent has a lot of trust and a lot of confidence in, and that he might come over to Norman.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Obviously, he's got the rest of this week probably to find out who he is going to bring onto his staff. It was reported last week that the admin knew who Venables wanted to bring on as his offensive coordinator. So that news should come out pretty soon. He probably just has to reach out and have an actual offer for him, rather than just saying, hey, I want you to come with me here. They'll say, hey, you can come with me and here's how much you'll be paid. And if it is Levy, then I believe he's one of the top offensive coordinators in regards to payment, and he'll probably get to get a lot more money now that he has to leave Ole Miss to move over to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and Levy, there's a little bit of a bidding war going on right now. So you're right. He was paid $1.2 million this season from Ole Miss. LSU has a lot of interest in him, and obviously Ole Miss wants to keep him. There's just rumors and reports, but apparently a lot of the offers from Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and LSU are approaching that $2 million mark. And, maybe, Brent Venables is not getting 10 million a year, so they can pay a little more for assistant coaches. I would imagine if OU came knocking with 1.8, 1.9 million at your alma mater, it's probably going to be a really appealing deal. And you might be able to keep Caleb Williams, who is, the number one quarterback in the last year.
I hope Brent Venables has already been on FaceTime with Caleb Williams. I hope that's one of the first players that he decided to talk to. Obviously, we saw the screen grab from Brian Mead, which is still cool to see him talking to just a bunch of players and stuff. But I hope he individually reached out to Caleb Williams. That should have been one of his top priorities, is to call him right away and be like, hey, so keep your ass here. I'm going to build something. Essentially, that's what he's got to be. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. I was going to say worst case scenario, Joe Brady's still there.
It's true. There's a lot of options out there for Brent. In regards to his his introduction, the press conference has been confirmed for 10:30 Central Time tomorrow morning for the introduction of our new head coach, and he is supposed to be arriving in Norman in about 25 minutes. It's 9:15 right now Central Time. I think the plane is scheduled to land somewhere around 9:30. There's a crowd of people there, and that's something else that just shows how much
I'm about to get out. I'm about to hit the road, boys.
Not just the fans, but the city, how much it means to the people of the state. people are driving to go see him land and just walk to a car. Maybe they get an autograph, but I doubt that he comes and, it's pretty late. He's probably got to do some stuff in the morning.
I would guarantee you he talks for like a 5 minute show.
Maybe, but
he's going to be excited.
Notice the difference between Oklahoma fans and the Oklahoma football and the passion behind football in Oklahoma. And Lincoln Riley left for a bag to the mecca of college football, and it was an empty hangar. He had a pilot to shake hands, and I swear it looked staged.
Did you see what Bob Stoops said at the Big Ten kickoff thing, whatever, yesterday?
Yeah,
where they were talking about the program and stuff, and they're like, "Well, Lincoln Riley, he had acquired it when he took over. We were the number 5 team in the country, whatever." And then he said something like, "Whoever the new head coach is going to be, he's inheriting like a 10-2 football team. Like, it's not a bad team at all. It's not like a 4-8 team like USC."
Yeah, he also mentioned
love it.
They asked him about if he had to go into a new office, and he said he just walked back into the one he built.
So, I love
Bob's not a happy man with how Lincoln Riley left, just like the fans, and it's completely fair. You guys have both said it multiple times. He got left the keys to a castle and he just ditched it, and when it seemed to be at going and becoming the best thing it has been in a long time. But that's neither here nor there anymore. We have a new coach. There's going to be a new regime, new culture, new brand of Oklahoma football starting here in the next 6 months, or however long it's going to take for him to show the country that Brent Venables was the right choice, and people that were his doubters won't be happy whenever they have to face him.
Yep, you're going to have a guy in Brent Venables that is extremely appreciative and wants to be here. I think he's going to be all in. I know that's what Clemson says, all in, but I really think he's going to be all about it. I don't think we need to worry about him leaving anytime soon unless he gets asked to leave, which I don't see that happening either.
Program guy, Brent Venables.
Yeah. And so the one thing I will say, we talked about Jeff Lebby. He's a great guy, but he has no relationship or anything with Caleb Williams like Joe Brady does, because if everyone recalls, when Joe Brady was the offensive coordinator for LSU, he was recruiting Caleb Williams to LSU, and Williams was really interested and really liked LSU, but then Joe Brady obviously left and went to go be the OC for the Panthers, and that definitely helped out the Sooners to land Williams. If you don't get Lebby, or do you even consider maybe taking Brady, maybe that's your number 1 pick, maybe when Venables told the staff or the administration that it was going to be Lebby because he didn't think Joe Brady was going to be available, maybe Joe Brady becomes a bigger player because of his relationship with Caleb Williams, and obviously that's a definite priority for the Sooners to hold on to him, and it's been very clear throughout this whole process. Joe Castiglione and them have prioritized the Williams family. So Joe Brady really, if they hire Joe Brady, that offense is still going to be terrific. I don't think we're going to see a noticeable step down, but going from Riley to Lebby or Riley to Joe Brady, they're going to both be great as long as Caleb Williams is there. No, you're muted.
And now we have a lot of guys that maybe now they're open to going to Oklahoma, not from recruitment, but from the transfer portal. There's guys like Zachary Evans from TCU. He needs a new home, and we need a new running back because Kennedy Gray will be leaving the Sooners this season, and that running back room is very depleted. Eric Gray, he'll likely be returning, and then we'll get a couple guys like Sawchuk coming in, but from what's been seen, he's still committed to Oklahoma. But we need to start building up that running back room, and I think those guys like Brady and Jeff are going to be guys that can pull big names like Zach Evans to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think for the most part we won't see too many players currently on roster decommitting after this. I think there's stability there now. We know who the head coach is, and I think a lot of these kids, as we've already seen on Twitter, welcome home, Coach Venables, stuff like that. I think for the most part, the days of us getting on Twitter and seeing an Oklahoma player decommit every 5 seconds is done.
Yeah. And I really think, Brandon, you said a little bit earlier, Brent Venables is going to be hitting the road fast. And he's probably going to be traveling for literally a week straight leading up to the early National Signing Day. If I were him, one of the guys I would be getting out there and trying to go talk to is Derek Moore. Obviously, tonight, if you guys hadn't seen, I know you guys have, but everyone watching, Kobe McKenzie has committed to the University of Texas, which is quite the flip after being committed 2 years for the Sooners. Hopefully he doesn't sign on the National Signing Day, early National Signing Day, but you never know. It's going to be interesting to see over the next week and a half who the Sooners can land, who they can flip, maybe take a few Clemson commits and land some new guys that we didn't expect. But I mean, this just means we have a ton of videos that we're going to be coming out with and a lot of information that we're going to be following like no other over the next week and a half leading up to the National Signing Day. There is a lot that's going to happen over the next week and a half.
Boys.
Yeah.
We don't have time
There's
for that
so
anymore.
much
we gotta
information.
lock into OU football.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, I'm not saying we can all agree that we don't think we're going to win the national championship next year, but 3 years, it's a 3-year process. I really think you're going to see this team. They're going to be well suited to go to the SEC. And it's exciting to think.
For sure. Do you have any final thoughts, Brandon, before we wrap it up today?
No. Today is a good day. Today's a good day.
Yeah. I gave my guarantee on the last video. The Sooners did in fact hire a head coach. That was my guarantee, and here we are.
Just check that one off. We have officially hired a new coach.
Lie.
Never liars here. But if you guys made it this far, thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. We hope you're just as excited about Brent Venables as we are. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Let us know what you think Brent is going to do for the Sooners and the type of football we're going to see at the Palace. Make sure you
ass kicking football, hose. You idiot.
Hey, we'll get to find out hopefully at the spring game what the new team is going to look like. But again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.